Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Caesar Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is the 26th. It's a Saturday um, here in Saturday, September 26th, and I haven't been doing many readings of late, mainly because I've been very busy with life. Of course, many of you know that I take care of my elderly mother. That takes up a lot of time. Um, and I'm also getting busier with my astrology practice um, thanks to being seen on Revealing Light Tarot. Um, thank you. And I've started some beginners astrology classes, something that many of my viewers have been begging me to do, or begging, asking, pleading, saying, please, 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 let me know, let me know. And I've always been a little bit of a technophobe. So all of the Zooming that I've had to do because of COVID has given me the confidence to do online classes. So we do them on Zoom, and we have two beginners classes started. And I will be adding some Kabbalah classes and maybe some numerology classes um, come the new year. Um, Instead of trying to start something around the holidays. Although with COVID, you never know. Maybe some people want to have a little class, or maybe I'll have some special topic classes for things that, specific areas of astrology or specific areas of numerology um, uh, that people may just want to investigate. Instead of it being a series of classes, it'll just be a talk. So I can do that as well. So if there's something that you guys are particularly interested in the kind of things that I do, you can always email me, Vicky Skirbo, VICKI, my last name SCERBO at Gmail. I'll put it. Oh, it's down below anyway. It's always listed down below to get a hold of me. So if there's something you're interested, or you can just comment below. I do look at the comments. So now our dear notorious RBG is in heaven with her husband and um, her buddies, and the angels. The first woman to ever lie in state, the first Jew, I think, to ever lie in state. Um, and it was beautiful. It was just beautiful. I couldn't watch all of it, but what I watched, every minute of it, I had tears rolling down my face. She has changed things for women, and we are very grateful. And one of the most beautiful things was seeing all those female um, senators and congresswomen lined up, despite whether they were Republican or Democrat, sort of lined up to watch her casket come down the stairs. Was one of the most inspiring things I've seen in a really long time. In a really long time, there have been moments that have inspired me through these last few years that sort of keep you going, right? And that was one of them. It was really quite lovely. So let's look at this Supreme Court race. They do have somebody. I know her last name is Barrett. I can't remember. She's like three names. I think it's Amy something Barrett, but you guys know. So, but let's. That's who the Republicans are, I guess, naming to put up. They only have 40 days, 45 days to do this for the election. Of course, there are those who think they shouldn't rush it. Of course, those would be the Democrats for the most part. And there are those who want to get that Supreme Court justice in. Um, just, as an aside, even if she does get in, all is not lost when it comes to sort of bringing more progressives or bringing more liberal um, uh, members of the Supreme Court, because you can always expand the number of members. And so, say Biden does win, say she gets in and Biden does win, they can ask to have more justices on the court. And so if Biden is the president, you would have to think, or Kamala Harris is the president, you would have to think that they would choose more liberal candidates, or you would hope. Well, certainly more liberal when it comes to social issues, hopefully also liberal when it comes to corporate issues, which is a whole nother, we might have to wait for AOC to become president for that one. But we'll see. I have faith in Kamala. All right, guys, let's see. So we're asking about the this endeavor to get this woman Barrett on the Supreme Court. So let's see what the immediate environment is. We have phenomenon, phenomenon, phenomena. Bum, ba, da, da. I know that's not really what they say, but I've always loved that song. Phenomena. This is very interesting. This card. We have we have this what looks like a planet down here, and then up here it's almost like an etheric. There's like an etheric double to this planet, and yeah, and this looks like almost like it looks like. I wish you could see better with these cards. Okay, there we go. All right, now I see. Um, I almost want to say that this planet here, this brown planet, is in the firmament, or in the emotional. Um, there's this sense of emotional. I'm sorry, they love coming down my street on motorcycles on beautiful days. Okay, they're done now, thank goodness. Um, I don't know how to explain this. This seems more like the energy of water, and then this seems like it's more spatial, um, and it almost feels like there's a rising up. I want to say that this is a rising up of the feminine. When I see this card, rising up of the feminine, that we have a something to aspire to. Let's see what's crossing it. Support. You know, it's phenomenal that Donald Trump gets 3 Supreme Court choices. He's the luckiest duck in the duck pond, as far as I can tell. Um, so there's something to be said for that. This is a crossing card. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. So the challenge is to get the support. The challenge is to get the support. Now the Senate decides, right, and they have a majority. They have a Republican majority, and those people who are saying, "Well, I don't know," like Susan Collins, is pretty much just saying it because she doesn't want people to remember what she did with Kavanaugh. So she wants to sort of separate herself from that, but she's going to lose anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And she's probably going to vote for this woman. And she'll say she doesn't want to, but then she'll vote for it. If she's one of the deciding votes, you know she's gonna go for it. She would prefer they didn't do this, but she doesn't really have any power anymore. She gave that up when she chose Kavanaugh to go through. See what's at the root? Yeah, we have erosion at the root. Erosion. Let's just keep going. In the past, influence. Influence in the past. Now that could be Ruth. See what's in the sky. Oh, abundance. Okay. in the immediate future, childhood, so issues around children. So this is going to be the whole abortion thing. They're going to really drill down on her about this. They're going to want her commitment that Roe v. Wade is going to be not overturned. And, um, she could talk the game, and when the rubber meets the road, that may not be the case. But I'm sort of getting a little bit of a different feeling from this, and I'm going to wait till I pull all the cards to see how this is seen from the outside. Multiverse, many levels. There are many levels here working. Um, Domestic, we have connection. Um, Hopes and fears, gifts, and outcome, water. So that's very emotional. See what's underneath, potential. So, I don't know that much about this woman, and I hate to characterize and judge her by my own sensibilities as a woman, because I am pro-choice, and as far as I understand, she is not. But it's religious um, in its under. It's like she comes from a spiritual or religious perspective, which I can also understand. Um, you know, Denying the birth of a soul on the planet has consequence. It has energetic, karmic consequence. But sometimes that is what the soul agreed to. Sometimes the woman doesn't have a choice. Sometimes, at least the woman doesn't feel like she has a choice. You know, if we want to have every child be born, then we have to allow the world to become a place where every child gets an opportunity to be loved and to be wanted uh, and to be embraced by a community of people who are going to be there from the cradle to the grave, so to speak, right? And so, as a spiritual, um, as it being a spiritual decision on her part, being pro-life, that is, um, that's very understandable. Of course, everybody's going to politicize it because they're afraid. They're afraid of losing rights. And certainly, as a woman, even though I'm no longer in childbearing age, I do have nieces and I do have my goddaughter, and I have, and any woman who has to make that choice for themselves really should be a choice that they make for themselves with their family if they can, if it's able, and maybe with a spiritual advisor who's going to help support and not damn the person to hell, right? So there needs to be a whole new understanding behind this issue. There needs to be a whole new understanding. It's not as simple as a woman has the right to do what she wants with her body. Um, it's a woman has a right to do what she wants with her body in a society that doesn't really help a woman take care of the child that she's going to give birth to. And so, and then you might say, well, maybe she shouldn't have gotten pregnant. Well, sometimes things happen. Sometimes it's not consensual. It's not a choice for the woman. Should that woman have that child? You know? So it's a very complex spiritual and personal decision that maybe shouldn't be legislated. Legislating for moral things, like, I mean, murder is one thing. You don't want to take a life of a living person, but this whole thing with the women, and it's not just about having children, it's about raising children. And anybody who has raised anything, whether it be a child or or a pet or a garden knows what kind of care, concern, and focus it takes. And not every woman wants to focus on having children. Can they take precautions? Yes, they can take precautions. But even that's being eroded. A lot of women can't get birth control. The issue of federally funding abortions. I mean, a woman needs to have choices, and we need to trust that women will make the right one. But we also have to support those women as they develop and grow into women, into childbearing women. Like, what kind of how are they? How do they view the world? How does the world view them? It's very skewed. It's very unnatural. We don't have a good relationship with our natural systems. And it's going to get, because of pollution and climate change and all the hormones and all the pesticides that we use, and many of them are endocrine disruptors that are going to create problems in pregnancy, getting pregnant, staying pregnant, and having healthy children. So these are all things that we have to look at. It's a huge picture, and it's worth looking at the whole picture. And so this reading is just, will it happen? Will she get put on? And what will that mean? So my first thought, and I'm going to go with my first thought, and this is probably politically incorrect, that any woman who gets on the Supreme Court is going to be a better thing than not. It's going to be a better thing than not. And as for the position of um, whether or not Roe v. Wade is going to be overtaken, or maybe they're even more concerned with um, Obamacare. Um, this is how I look at it. Um, Obamacare gets defeated, then it's Medicare for all. Period. No other option. No other option. Right? I don't know if that's going to be something that happens, or that's something that could happen easily. So there's that. I think that there will be pressure from women. She gets in, there's going to be pressure to bear upon her. It's not going to be as easy as just overturning Roe versus Wade, because I think that there is an awareness and a rising of the feminine. And I do believe that women aren't really interested in not having children. I think women are interested in having children when there is the support for those children, whether it's emotional or financial or social or community support. So if Roe versus Wade is overturned, maybe there'll be another. I should just ask that. I don't know. I don't know how that feels. I'm very triggered by that, so it's hard for me to know. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to not make a declaration on that, at least not at this moment. And what I will say is I do believe that she's going to get in, and I do believe that it's going to actually work for the benefit of women. And I know people might get crazy on me about that, but that's kind of what I see here. I see this as a root, the erosion card. I think this is being based. The choice to put her in on some level is is like a last ditch effort by the Republicans to put in a point of view or a way of being or a decision or something they think that's going to serve them as they erode, as a party erode, and as the patriarchy erodes. So she might be in there in that, but there's so many changes coming down the road that if she does, it's not the end of the world, and there will be pressure upon her to bear, and it's okay to be spiritual in these cases. It's okay to have a spiritual perspective, but I would like to think if somebody makes it to the point that she makes it, somebody learned and somebody with some kind of sensitivity, which I'm sure she has. I mean, I was concerned he was going to put Judge Janine in, Janine Pirro. Then I would have said, forget it, it's over. Like, this guy's crazy and this is nuts. But this woman isn't Jeanette Pirro. So for me, it's almost like, oh, at least she's not putting Judge Janine. Oh, Jeanette. Sorry, Janine. Any Jeanette Pirros out there, I apologize to. Janine. What do you think? What do you think? Ugh, she's abhorrent. Anyway, yeah, and underneath it all is potential for growth. So I think she's going to be, I think she's going to get in. And I think that in the long run, people are going to be surprised um, by her decisions. And I don't, unless I said, even if she gets in, if the Democrats get in, they can just add more justices and even it out a bit, right? Even it out a bit, which really needs to be done. I think it's important to have both sides. I think it's important for things to be balanced. So maybe 10 Supreme Justices, or for the astrologer, and maybe how about 12 Supreme Justices? Like everybody is a sign or something. I like that. So that's what I see, guys. Hope I didn't upset too many people. But, hey. All right, guys, like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed that. I said I was going to ask about Roe v. Wade. I'm not by no means a legal expert. By any means. Let's see the safety of Roe v. Wade. Let's just pick cards on that specifically. Okay. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay. I get the card balance first. So this says to me there will be a case. There will be a case that brings it up that we look at. Now, again, I'm not a legal expert, and I know that Roe v. Wade I don't know actually. I think I know that Roe v. Wade is a question of the right to privacy. So it may have something to do with the way the decision was made. That maybe it's not a right to privacy decision, like it changes in that respect. Okay. We have fire, so this is a lot of passion, so there's going to be a lot of passion. We have the card of destruction. We can see sort of the dark clouds and such. So we have fire and destruction. Then we have grief, and then we have wisdom. So I feel like this is what this looks like for me. There's going to be a case. There's going to be a lot of people taken to the streets to protect the right for choice. There's going to be some sort of destruction. Now, is that destruction of Roe v. Wade? It's possible. Then we have an outpouring of grief. And that could be for either side, because either side is very Not the political expediency side of things, but the people who really like have a spiritual connection to this, and a spiritual take and an understanding of the situation. There'll be a lot of grief, and that what comes out of that is wisdom. What comes out of that is wisdom. And so again, it's definitely going to come up, and things about it can be changed. People are going to be very upset. But I think out of it springs a better understanding of the situation. And does this mean that it's going to be better for women in the long run? The healing card. Combustion or fire. Relationship. The fact that the healing card came up says to me yes. It's also going to challenge the nature of our relationships with men who really can get us pregnant. I mean, we can, if you're two women and want a baby, or two men and want a baby, there, there's a you're choosing that. It's not an abortion issue, but it is a relationship issue. Um, if you get to the point where you don't want a child, it's usually because the relationship won't sustain it. It's not a good relationship. The initial um, reason for the conception wasn't good, whatever. You have your responsibility to other people, other children. You can't afford another child. It's always based on relationship. And so it's going to cause us both a healing and a transformation, combustion in how we relate to one another. And I think that has to do with helping support the children as they come in. So it's a different world. We're changing, and I hope to think that we are becoming more compassionate to one another. And if the government is not going to serve the women, then we have to start serving the women as communities. There are ways, and protect women from the more dangerous sort of back alley abortions that can happen if they take our rights away. I don't really think anybody wants to go back to that, and I don't really think this woman does. Um, I think the Republicans, and even the Republicans, I'm not really sure that they want um, not to have abortions. Certainly, I'm sure that the president has had his share of slipping a few hundred to some women for to do that. So it's certainly not a spiritual thing on his part. But um, yeah, I don't think it's going to be overturned, but it is going to be a really big deal, and there's going to be a lot of uh, bringing up the issue. But that's also part of the rising of the feminine. So. All right, guys, like and subscribe. Thanks for sitting with me here on this beautiful day. Michael and I are going to go do some yard work. So I'm going to go get busy with that. Take care. Namaste.